Previously, the group had a few days of downtime while Sean recovered from her latest, well, death experience. There was no near about it. They made arrangements for the assistants the Saltburn Queen sent to work on the doors upgrade to their ship. Then they all went their separate ways, coming together here and there. Keelan did some shopping and worked on some alchemy, succeeding by the skin of his teeth. Once his project was finished, he went to find Yuri. He explained to him that he created a potion that would allow Yuri to speak to Zaya across the multiverse, although he didn't know the specifics about duration. There were then hugs. So many hugs. Sean spent the next few days in bed recovering from her exhaustion and reading, with a few visits from Tharizian and Yuri. She found out that the Sword of Veils was a powerful artifact capable of cutting through the veil and killing Shadow Spawn, not just sending them back to their realm like the rituals the group had been doing did. Once she was feeling a bit better, she used her cards to cast Commune, and was able to figure out that it was Avery Rain who had hired the assassins to kill her. She wasn't entirely certain why, though. She also figured out how to scry on others after studying the coins that the Twin Silvers had left behind, and was able to look in on her family for the first time since fleeing Avanos. Taria spent the week working on creating platinum plate armor using the metal that she'd sent to the city to pick up. She had a very productive week working on it. Once she finished the armor, she went to Keelan to ask him if he could cast Identify on an item for her. He agreed, and she disappeared into the room with him. I'm sure it's fine. Taria definitely has a great history when it comes to mystery items. Valrizian spent several days working with Sister Vivian, the low-level cleric running a clinic who he'd met a few days earlier. Tornak spent his days helping Taria with working on her armor, but in the evenings he went to various taverns to play music. Once she finished the physical aspect of the armor, he then spent those last few days talking to various people around the city and making friends. Yuri spent the first day in the market shopping for ingredients. Then he went searching for a new weapon, and he bought a definitely not cursed longsword from a pirate who immediately started screaming, I'm free, before jumping on his ship and sailing away. As you do. He tried leaving the sword in his room the next day, but his luck was horrible all day. He didn't manage to accomplish anything, and he felt as things would just go better if he had his sword with him. The next day, he headed to Sean's room with his sword first thing in the morning. She sighed and broke the curse, since Remove Curse was a permanent part of her repertoire by that point. She told him to get rid of it, and he very agreeably said that he'd be careful with it, but didn't promise to actually do what she asked. Yuri had lunch with Talos, and then dinner with Tisha, the latter of whom agreed to join the crew. Later in the evening, he headed down to the docks and created a celestial grizzly bear for a steed. On the fourth day, Sean disappeared for a few hours first thing in the morning and headed towards the docks. She returned in time for the group's meeting with the Saltburn Queen. They all met up with the Queen, and she took them to a different room than previously. Sean explained the group's plans to set up a magical door that could instantly bring them to Port Freehaven from anywhere in the world, and that they wanted to buy or rent a property to use for it. She also explained that they wanted it to have a secondary use, where it could be helpful to the people in the city who needed assistance. The Queen agreed that it seemed like a good plan, and she gave them a piece of paper with her seal on it and told them to talk to her property master. Once they went down to meet with her, it turned out that the Queen gave them the deed to a seaside villa. And that is where we left off.